Welcome back to yet another piece of furniture that I grabbed and am planning to refinish. While I was out of town, I stopped by an estate sale and snagged this really pretty chest of drawers. This piece is definitely antique. It does have some age to it, and it's really cute. Now, obviously, at some point, the owners had it painted, and I'm guessing had it painted professionally. The paint job is really smooth, but it is showing signs of wear and tear and age. It is chipping and peeling in some areas, and I can see where the back veneer is starting to lift a little bit on the back side. But with all of that being said, I am so eager to strip this paint off and see what kind of wood is beneath the surface. I do have all of the original hardware, and it actually does have a mirror that comes along with it. I don't have it set up with the mirror at the moment because the backing of the mirror did come away during transport, and I just don't want to damage the glass. So I'm not going to set it up until the end, but I am going to strip it and refinish it along with this piece. I can tell this was a really well-made piece of furniture, and I am so excited to bring it back to its original glory and see what I can achieve with it. Follow along for that journey this week. I am gonna put some gloves on while taking apart this mirror. The last thing I want to do is slice my hand. Although this glass is really thick and it doesn't feel overly sharp. Better safe than sorry. I might just go ahead and keep this and maybe just replace it all together. It's just a cardboard material. Oh, this is heavy. I was kind of hoping there would be a date stamp on the back of this mirror. A lot of times mirrors will actually have the manufacturer date stamped on the back, but this one is just blank. Now I can set all these mirror components off to the side. And when I go to strip the body of this piece, I can strip these at the same time. And now to take this apart. I have not taken it apart to assess any damage, but it seems like it's in pretty good shape. All these drawers feel pretty secure. Oh, this middle one sticks a little bit. Sometimes they get stuck in this old style, especially if they've been painted. It just adds a little bit of extra material on the side that catches sometimes. All in all, this is really in decent condition for its age. I am noticing there are some tracks worn into these side pieces. This is so common with this type of construction where the drawers just slide directly on the wooden components on the inside. And you can see it definitely has dug in a track on this particular board. I'll have to see. Sometimes if it's fitting correctly and you go and fill this, it will all of a sudden start rubbing again. It's really going to have to be dependent on if any previous repairs were done. I'll have to take a look at the drawers and see, but this is definitely the worst side out of all of the drawers. I think my plan of action for this particular piece might actually be to try to do some of these glue repairs to the veneer before I strip. Some of this paint is just peeling straight off. I'm just worried that if I overly saturate this piece with stripper like I want to do, it might cause some moisture to get underneath this veneer and make these cracked areas worse. Secondly, I am going to take some lead testing swabs and swab this piece to make sure that this paint is not lead. I don't think it is. I think it's newer than that, but it does not hurt to test. And I can see that there's actually two colors. So I will test both this grayer color that's underneath and then this creamy color that's on top. These particular swabs, you just wet it with some vinegar and then rub it on the area that you want to test. And if any part of this colored solution turns a very dark purpley red, that means it does have lead. As long as it remains this orange color, which it is, a yellowy orange color, it's not lead. No lead in this one, thankfully. Time to do some furniture repair surgery. I am going to use a glue syringe and wood glue to get some of this to glue back down. I'm aiming to see some squeeze out. I absolutely want to see the glue squeezing from underneath. That's how I know I have it well applied under there. And I don't want it popping back up on me after I've stripped it and refinished it and all of that. Luckily, this veneer that's on the top of this is actually pretty thick, which is common with pieces that are a little bit older like this. They used a decent layer. So I'm really able to get it under there without the veneer snapping and breaking on me. And now I'll just clamp a board down to provide a nice sturdy flat surface. If there's one thing that it seems like I can never get enough of, it's clamps. I always look for clamps anytime I go to like an estate sale or a garage sale, especially the big long ones. I could definitely use some more of those. But they come in handy on almost every furniture refinish that I do. And I'll let this sit up for a couple of hours and really make sure that the glue has cured properly. It's been a couple hours now and I can take these off. It's not a structural repair, just trying to get this veneer down. And this stuff sets up pretty quickly. It's still gonna look a little messy until I sand and strip all this down. I'm gonna start prepping the drawer fronts for stripping. That means covering these hardware holes. I don't want the stripper to drip through these holes and get inside these drawer boxes. They are finished with probably like a shellac or a lacquer or something like that, just to seal them. That's how a lot of these ones come. And I don't necessarily need to remove that product from these. I'll actually be really curious what I uncover underneath this paint. When flipping the little chest of drawers around, on the back, it is stamped by the manufacturer green. So I'm wondering if this was originally a painted or lacquered finish with a color, not actually a stained wood look. In some of the areas where that white paint is chipped and you can see what's underneath, you can see what I initially thought was a gray color, but it might have actually been a green color. And that would explain why it's stamped green on the back. I know there's a lot of furniture purists out there that like to really harp on pieces being painted. This just goes to show, I mean, painting furniture has been around forever. They've painted furniture ever since they've had paint. All right, it's time to get this stinky stuff going. I am going to be using a chemical stripper to try to take off the layers of paint and whatever finish is on these. I like to work in small sections, so I'm going to start off with just the drawers. For me, usually this stuff eats through whatever layers I need it to within like 15 minutes or so. So I definitely don't want to coat too many things and get too ahead of myself and then have this stuff dry out. And it is pretty stinky, so I am going to use all my PPE gear because this will not be good if you're in an enclosed space and you try to use it. I do find from personal experience, if a piece has multiple layers of coats of different styles of paint, I usually do have to work in multiple layers of stripper. I'll apply the first coat, completely strip it off, and then do it as many more times as I need to. You can see this stripper actually caused some of the original detail to show through. It looks like it had a painted border with that green color underneath. And as soon as I put that stripper on that white paint, it caused that border to pop up through. Just a funny little chemical reaction and a little glimpse of the past on what was initially on this piece. All right, I officially have all the drawers stripped and at least one round of stripper on the top and two sides of this little chest of drawers. I did not go ahead and do the front. It's all flat pieces of board. They're all solid, and the stripper is not doing a great job at getting up this original green factory finish that was on this piece. It's actually a really pretty color of green. I'm not gonna lie, I actually really like this sagey, earthy green. Obviously, it needs to be removed, but I can appreciate the color that it initially was. My next plan of action is going to be sanding. I am going to start by sanding down the drawers. The drawers are all solid wood. Really, the only area that looks like it has veneer is the top of this piece and possibly these side panels. Everything else is solid, so it should sand pretty nicely, and I should be able to use a nice, robust, heavy grit of sandpaper if I need to get off the remainder of this green color. I will be a little bit more delicate with the top, but the rest of it I can roll up my sleeves and dive right in. I did already clean up all of my stripping material and then quickly realized I did not strip the mirror components yet. So I'm gonna just continue with this chest of drawers, get it all sanded down, and then I'll revisit those mirror parts later on. They're gonna be a little bit more tedious because there's a lot of details with the rounded spindle-like arms of that mirror, but it is all solid wood. So a little trick sometimes that I do, if it's a solid wood piece and I am stripping, I'll apply the stripper, get all the stripper off, and then actually go outside and hose it off to help take off the remainder of whatever's left. It's the next morning. I didn't get very far with sanding this piece yesterday. I got those drawers sanded down and pretty much stopped with this top. This original finish is pretty stuck on there. So I think I am actually gonna backtrack, and I know I said I was done with the stripping process, but I think I am going to revisit the chemical stripper and try to get more of this off. I am a little concerned with this top. I am seeing some signs of water damage in the wood grain, which can be an issue. I'm gonna have to see how it looks once I have all of this finish off. I don't know if these water stains will come out or not. That can be one of the stubborn things that you sometimes deal with when trying to bring something back down to raw wood. We will see. All right, I'm ready to attempt sanding again. I hope this top is not too far gone. I'm not really gonna know until after I get done smooth sanding everything and getting that residual green color off. I really did get lucky with this top. as I was sanding it down, I was able to see all those suspected water damage spots came right out when it was sanded. The thing that concerned me was that all of the suspected damage spots were on the back where the veneer was really crackling and coming free, which did make me think that there was some water damage there. But as you can see, they sanded right out and that veneer stayed stuck down perfectly. So this ended up being a seamless repair in the end, luckily. Having different tools for different areas really does help make this process a lot easier and a lot faster. My orbital sander gets through the most of the finish the quickest, but of course does not fit in the corners and small detail areas very well. So I always start with my orbital and get as much off as I can, and then I will go in with my smaller detail sander, my surf prep, and really clean up those corners and the smaller areas. Secondly, since this surf prep does not spin in a circle like my orbital does, I can use my detail sanding blocks on this to get in some of the more narrow details like the front fluting on these two side pieces. This really does help to conform in different shapes and make sanding all that much easier, trust me. All right, I've got the majority of this piece sanded down to raw. The last areas with significant paint, besides these top detail areas, which should be easy to take care of, are these rounded and curved legs. I have done several rounds of stripper, and now what I think I'm gonna do is actually pick up the leg. Well, I need to get a deeper cup, but I think I'm gonna fill a cup with acetone and actually kind of let it soak and sit for a couple minutes, and then I'll take some steel wool to it, and hopefully that will have loosened up the rest of it so that when I do go to smooth sand it, most of that finish is off and I'm just taking off any of the residual stuff. Now, before I get to applying my new finish on this piece, there's one more repair that I want to make. One of these really long, wide drawers has some damage to it. You can see where one of the drawer stops really dug into the bottom of this. And the reason for that is because this side has been rubbed down quite a bit. It's a lot shorter than it was initially when this piece was first made. And so what I am gonna do, I already loosened this side. I'm going to very gently take it off. And you can see right here, it's pretty uneven. I'm gonna run it through my table saw, clean up this edge, and glue a new board on the bottom of this and cut it so that it is the proper width so that it won't be dragging and causing more damage to the bottom of this drawer. I'm gonna give that a couple of hours to fully set up. I wanna make sure it's got a good, strong bond before I go ahead, cut off the excess and put that drawer back together. But once everything is back together, that's when I can start the next and final steps. That last repair was completed, so now I can get going and start staining this piece. I am gonna go with a water-based stain. This is Special Walnut, and like you've seen me do a million times, I will probably use a tinted top coat just to even out all the tones. I do think that that veneer on the top is a different species than some of the rest of the piece. So using a tinted top coat really does help to richen and even out all the different tones. And those dark rich colors are really in right now, I think. So that's why I'm reaching for this method at the moment. All right, that stain is all dry. That's the beauty of the water-based stains. They dry so quickly. And that means I can now top coat it. It's all looking really good right now, and that top coat should richen it up. I'm gonna see what it looks like once at least 2 coats of top coat dry, just to really see what level of toning, if at all, I need to do on this piece. If it looks good as is, I might not tone it, we'll see. I find with especially water-based stains, they do change color once you do top coat them. That really does bring some luster back into it. So I am going to use a water-based satin top coat, and I will spray it in my sprayer. It's just the fastest way of applying it, plus it provides really pretty coverage. While that first coat of top coat is drying, I am gonna go ahead and start boiling this hardware. I'm gonna just try to remove all this tarnish and see what the color and condition of these are underneath. To do that, I'm gonna put it in my special pot that I use only for this, and I'm gonna add 50% water, 50% vinegar, and boil it for about 20 minutes on the stove. And then I will polish it with some Barkeeper's Friend when that's all done. I mean, not the best. I'll probably put some rub and buff on these to really shine them up a little bit more. But they have a pretty shape. I like them. I think I am actually going to go ahead and do some tinting after all. This is a really pretty color and it did turn out really nice, but you can see what with the different wood species, how it took the stain differently. More specifically, these two top drawers look completely different than the two bottom drawers and really the rest of the dresser in all. So what I am gonna do, making sure that the drawers are in the exact location that I want them to be, I will go ahead and mix up a tinted top coat, which is basically just the same water-based top coat that I've been using with a little bit of dark brown water-based paint mixed in. And it's just gonna even out some of these tones a little bit better. With the last of that lining going into the drawers, this piece is officially getting wrapped up and is ready to reveal. But before we do that, let's take a look back at what I started with. This was such a sweet little chest of drawers. As soon as I saw it at the estate sale, I knew I wanted to grab it. The original paint job was probably really beautiful in its prime. I really liked the hand-painted floral detail in the center. It was a nice touch, even though it was peeling. That veneer needed a little bit of work on the top and was giving me a little bit of hesitation. You just don't know what's under this finish when you see damage like that, but luckily we were able to fix it. And fix it we did. This piece is so beautiful. I really did hesitate to leave those original pulls, that silvery finish color, but I'm so glad that I used the rub and buff on them to warm them up. I just think that a gold or brass color plays so much better off of these rich, warm wood tones, and it's absolutely stunning. Those turned legs in the front really hit that light with the satin top coat and are quite a beautiful touch. Probably my favorite piece of the wood grain is actually on this side right here. This side veneer was absolutely beautiful once stained. And this piece altogether is a beautiful piece of history that I am so glad I was able to restore. Let me know what you think down below. I hope you liked this one, and I appreciate if you would like to like and subscribe. Thank you again.